Hi, I'm Richard Friesen, and I want to welcome you to the Mind, Methods, and Markets course. And I want to do this with a personal introduction to tell you what brings me here and why I believe my 2 decades of trading experience that you can leverage them to get you to your goals, and that's to become a consistently profitable, independent, or professional trader. My experience trading started in 1980 as a broker for Merrill Lynch. But my real experience, what really made the changes in my life, didn't start until April of 1995. In April of 95, it was the middle of the night, and I was woken up. I sat straight up in bed, and I heard a voice. I looked around the room, and there was nobody there. My wife was sleeping peacefully beside me, but I heard a voice as clear as I can hear my own voice right now. And it said, "Rich, you're just a $200,000 a year trader." And that's the voice that woke me up in the middle of the night. I can still feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up as I recount this. What I did is I got up, I showered, and went to the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange where I was an options market maker. And there, I stood outside the door. The exchange wasn't open yet, and I waited an hour for the exchange staff to come in and open the doors. As soon as the doors were open, I went to the pit, the Microsoft Micron pit where I was trading, and I stood in the very best spot in that pit. It was right between the two most busy brokers who brought in the most paper and the most orders, and right in front of the exchange staff where you could hear the orders that they had. And I waited. But before I go on with the story, I need to give you a bit of background to give you some context. In 1988, I went on my own. Before that, I had been working for a trading firm called Chicago Research and Trading, and I had built a trading desk at the Pacific Stock Exchange for them. We were consistently profitable. But in '88, I went on my own to trade for myself. And because I didn't have all the capital, I didn't have all the technology, I didn't have all the quants behind me figuring things out, I was very careful the first year, but I managed to make $125,000, and I was pleased. Second year, I improved it. I made $150,000, $175,000, $200,000. And the following year, I made another $200,000, then $200,000 again. And that brings us to April of 1995, when I was awoken with that voice in the middle of the night. You see, what happened is, in January of 95, Micron, which I was trading, took off. It had hit some lows, and the orders just poured in. There were buy calls, sell calls, buy puts, sell puts. You couldn't help but make money standing in that pit. And there was only 3 traders there, and we tried to keep it quiet so that we wouldn't get a lot of competition. And by the end of January in 95, I was up $200,000. End of February, I was up $200,000. End of March, I was up $200,000. I would make 10, lose 5, make 3, make 4. But I didn't break that $200,000 barrier. Which brings us to the middle of the night when I was woken up with that voice. "Rich, you're just a $200,000 a year trader." That's when I got up and went to the floor of the exchange and stood in the best spot in the pit. Now, if you don't understand exchanges and the floors, you need to understand that you don't own a spot in the pit. It's not a deal with the exchange. That's a social convention, and the best spots in the pit are usually taken by the brokers that have the most capital, are the most aggressive, are the meanest, are the biggest bullies, or whatever. So when I stood in that spot to take the best spot in the pit from somebody else, let me tell you the story. As the traders came in during the day, they started filling up the pits, and I was standing there, and the trader that normally stands there stood beside me, chatted for a while. The bell went off. He just gave me a tap on the shoulder, expecting me to move. I didn't move. What happened next was like a lightning bolt. Went through the entire pit because they knew what was going to happen. He started shoving. I stood my ground. I pretended I had concrete boots. I didn't move. As we were tussling back and forth, the exchange staff said, "Hey guys, $10,000 fine for fighting on the floor." We both knew this. Didn't matter who was at fault. We'd both get fined. So eventually he gave up, and I stood in that spot. And for the next 6 months, I was at the exchange when the doors opened an hour and a half early, and I would stand in that spot to make sure that I get it. I went on that year to make $650,000 and to start building a trading firm of my own. What I discovered was, as I built a trading firm, that other traders were having similar problems. I would train them, they would have the methodology. Some traders would just start making money and just keep going, but others would hit a certain level and quit. So I brought in a newly minted hypnotherapist, my sister Wendy, and we worked with these traders to find out that they had their own internal limits. So as I started training traders, I started trading them not only in options, not only in trading theory, not only in the markets, but training them to manage their own mental state, to give them more resilience, to raise their thermostats so they could be consistently profitable. And that is the start of building mind muscles. You should know that I started my career as a therapist. I have a master's degree in clinical psychology, 4 years training at the Gestalt Institute. I have a year and a half training at the neurolinguistic programming in Marin. And so as a result, I was able to bring all this together. And now, with my 2 decades of training experience and my understanding of psychology, not just in general, but specifically how it relates to trading, I want to bring this to you so you can leverage your capital, leverage your time, and get you to your goals. And those goals are to become a consistently profitable, independent, or professional trader. So, welcome to Mind Muscles Academy. Welcome to the Mind Methods and Markets course. I look forward to working with each and every one of you as we progress and get to our goals.